Good morning. Welcome into 5 Clubs here on Golf Channel. You can also listen on PGA Tour Radio. That is Channel 92 on Sirius XM. I'm Gary Williams. Great to have you with us. This program is always brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. They have great partnerships in the game of golf, including with the First Tee. That little lapel pin I've got on, it's First Tee week. They're a great team led by Greg McLaughlin. That's a perfect example of all that Century is doing. Of course, Golf Pride as well. All the grips from all the players, add them all up. It's not even close. From the recreational to the best in the world, they are the most trusted grip company in the world. Peter Millar, everything that I wear every day and have for the last 15 years, it's Peter Millar. And then finally, Pinehurst, the cradle of American golf. My gosh, I can't imagine being headed there this weekend. If you are, you'll say, can we please stay an extra 34 days? Because there's that much to do at Pinehurst. Always a good reason to be making a trip to Pinehurst. All right, we got a lot to get to on this Wednesday. Lydia Ko on the program. I met Lydia Ko when she was 15 years of age. She was pretty good. She's now 27. She's in the Hall of Fame. The LPGA Hall of Fame. They've got a point system by virtue of what she did last year. She's earned enough points to already be in the LPGA Hall of Fame. She's 27. She's on the program today. Will Lowery is going to join us as well. Will is somebody who has got his own podcast with Doug Smith, talking about all the aspects of the game of golf. But Will is also somebody who I get a chance to spend a lot of time with in the summer months, because Will is a cornerstone of the Underrated Golf Tour. And the Underrated Golf Tour was the vision and the passion of Steph Curry, one of the most important iconic sports figures globally. Why did it start? When did it start? And where is it now? Because the season is getting ready to begin. But more of a bigger picture conversation about junior golf, because Will also has his own AJGA event. And we see the development of these kids and their ability to play at high levels. Speaking of which, tonight on Golf Channel, Northwestern and Stanford for a national championship. The women's NCAA championship is tonight. Two great programs. Stanford looking to go back-to-back. The last college program to do that on the women's side was Duke back at the beginning, it's weird to say, of this century. So it is Stanford Northwestern tonight. And of course, tomorrow, with respect to the PGA Tour, it's Colonial. And I always have liked it when I've been at the PGA Championship. And now the Charles Schwab Challenge, as it is called, always follows it at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth. I'm not going to be there this year, but when I have, it's such an amazing transition to go from the enormity and the grandiosity of what a build-out is for a PGA Championship, usually on a massive piece of land, to the intimate time capsule that is Colonial. And they've got Scotty Scheffler, and it's in this really quaint, charming neighborhood. And if you go down the street, oh my gosh, there's TCU's campus. So Colonial starts tomorrow. But I start here today with a story that developed yesterday, which is why golf is so personal, because hopefully you played yesterday. And you know what? There is a USGA championship that is being contested right now. Last week, it was the women's 4-ball. This week, it's the men's 4-ball at Plainfield Country Club in New Jersey, a fantastic golf course. It's so special. Gil Hance, years ago, before the PGA Tour went there for the first time, did a restoration of that Donald Ross golf course. So the 4-ball going on right now. And when I say 4-ball, yesterday, we had a situation break out where it was a 3-ball in the 4-ball, because Mark is not a dull boy. Mark Dull, okay? Follow with me here. Mark and his partner qualified through stroke play, and first of all, they've been two of the best players in this competition since this thing was created 10 years ago. And so they've gotten to a semifinal together. They've gotten to a final together. These are two guys, obviously very good amateur players. And then wherever their ceiling was as far as maybe being professional golfers, they hit it. So they actually met, Mark and his partner, as caddies at Streamsong. And then they started playing in this great new USGA competition. They got to a final, they got to a semifinal. And here they are again, trying to do it again. But his partner, Mark's partner, had a potential conflict if they advanced. His daughter's graduation. So they said, well, let's just go ahead and see, let's try to get through stroke play, and whatever happens, happens. And if I got to leave, good luck. So Mark Dahl, in the round of 16, went out there solo and won. Won his match 2-1. And this is not anything against his two opponents. Obviously, this has never happened, and it's been around, like I said, for 10 years, whether it be one player trying to get through stroke play to get to the match play format, or anybody winning a match solo. It's been tried on the women's side once, and that didn't go. It went the way you thought it would go. So Mark Dahl he won his round of 16 match 2-1. So then he's got to go back out in the round of 8, okay, in the quarterfinals, again, solo, because his partner didn't go to the graduation and get on a G5 to get back for the quarterfinals. Nope. So he goes back out there, and what did he do? Well, he took his opponents to the 18th green, and he lost one down. Mark, I'll be a son of a gun. What a day. That is why this game, even on a Tuesday in northern New Jersey, can give you something like that. Which leads me to where I just want to go here for a moment, because Lydia Ko is going to be on the program today, and Lydia has done everything in golf. Lydia has also been a bronze medalist, silver medalist, and last year a gold medalist at the Olympic level, because when the Olympics returned to golf, she said, you know what, I'm going to invest in this. And she's done something obviously nobody else has done. And it may be a while, like a long while, before anybody on the men's or women's side wins all 3 medals. And we're seeing that golf, because world number 1 Scottie Scheffler participated last year, won, stood on that medal stand and cried. And that image alone, that's pretty good for the advancement of golf in the Olympics. And I think that you know now that it's here to stay, and for everybody who had misgivings and cynicism and nobody associates golf with the Olympics. And listen, if you want to have that position, that's fine. There are a lot of things that originally were not associated with the Olympics that now are, like, how about flag football? How about Patrick Mahomes maybe being in LA throwing passes? Oh, that's true. Just read a sports section today. That was announced yesterday. But what I would like to see happen, because the Olympics has already done it, and that is create a mixed team event. So there will be a mixed team 36-hole competition in Los Angeles. And who plays? I don't know. Could Scottie Scheffler and Nelly Korda play together? Of course they could. And could Leona Maguire and Rory McIlroy play and compete together? Of course they can. Whether they will or not doesn't matter. But that event is going to happen, which is what I think, not that it was necessary, but can be the driving force for what I think the United States Golf Association should do next. They made a great call by creating this 4-ball competition at the amateur level for men and women. And you have guys like Mark Dahl and his partner, I think it's Chip Brook, who are, these are guys in their 30s. Mark is 39 years of age. He runs a landscaping company in Lakeland, Florida. And he's competing against primarily a lot of really elite college players. But the thing is that it doesn't matter who's in it. What you're going to get is the tapestry you always get in amateur competitions, because there are a lot of people who can play this game late into their lives. And I'm sure a lot of these college kids looked at Mark and went, who's that old guy? Hey man, take it easy. 39 ain't old. You get it? I think the United States Golf Association needs to create a mixed team 4-ball at the amateur level. Add that. It's another way to allow men and women to share space. We've talked about how, why isn't there a mixed team event at the professional level? And I think that certainly there's certainly momentum for that to happen. But the United States Golf Association created, and I applaud them, their development program for boys and girls to get all the resources they need to reach the highest ceiling that they can in the game of golf. And that includes team competitions. And a 4-ball competition at the junior level and at the mid-amateur level, or not necessarily mid, it could be college players, whatever it may be. The United States Golf Association has a men's and women's 4-ball. We need a mixed team 4-ball. to compete for a United States Golf Association championship. And we also should have a junior mixed four-ball as well. Because if you're going to compete together, not necessarily in the same matches, but whether it's the Palmer Cup or it's the Junior Ryder Cup or the Junior Solheim Cup, whatever it may be, sharing the stage more and allowing boys and girls and men and women to compete together. And it's not accidental that the youngest demographic is now the biggest demographic participating in the game of golf. And the fastest growing demographic is women. A mixed team United States Golf Association championship is what I think can and should happen. If a mixed team competition can compete for gold in Los Angeles, why can we not have it for a USGA championship as well? Mark Dull, I know you're not awake at 8:11 Eastern time. Why would you be? You played 36 holes, 2-on-1 yesterday. You know, we used to do that on the blacktop, like where there's only 3 of you. All right, we'll play 2-on-1 to 11. He played 2-on-1 for 36 holes. That's a great golf story. All right, we're going to take a break. No, we're not. I was just kidding, because Club 5, you know, we've been doing this for 4 months, and we've said, you know, it's important to be in the club. Today, you're going to know why it's vitally important to be in this hot list kind of heat index when it comes to the men's game as we roll it out to you kind of on like an every other week basis, because there's not enough volatility in the game. Because somebody at the end of the year, as I said, is going to be the recipient of something. Oh, yes. There it is right there. That Leroy window pane soft jacket from Peter Millar in Walnut will be available for you in August. But for the recipient of it who wins Club 5 at the end of the year, they don't have to go to the website. They do not have to walk into a Peter Millar retail store. But why wouldn't you anyway? That's on the line, folks. So let's take a look at Club 5 as we start this week. And all these guys obviously have had great seasons. Justin Thomas has had a fantastic year. He won the Heritage. He's got 3 seconds, including a couple weeks ago. I know he's disappointed with whether it's the players' result, and he got off to a horrible start, and he had that amazing Friday. His performances in the majors, I know he wants him to be better, but the guy's having a great year with a win and all of those close calls. At number 4 is Sepp Straka. Sepp's got 2 wins. He's having the year of his life. One thing I will say about Sepp Straka, he will be on that European Ryder Cup team. You can't keep missing cuts in majors and have a chance to win that jacket. Guys who miss cuts in majors don't wear that walnut window pane jacket, okay? So he missed the cut in the Masters and the PGA. That can't continue. All right, number 3, Bryson DeChambeau. I don't know if he'd be a 46 reg in that jacket because he kind of sticks his chest out, especially in majors. The guy's a beast. He loves the enormity of it all. Another second. He's got to win 2 seconds at 5th and 6th in the last 6 majors. He's special. He's a special asset for the game of golf. The guy at number 2 slides. Sorry, man. This is when you're competing for this jacket. It's about what have you done like 5 days ago. Rory McIlroy's having the year of his life. Completed the career Grand Slam, won at Pebble, won the Players, won the Masters. He's at number 2, but the guy who returns to number 1, where he started the year in the club, is the guy who just won his 3rd major championship, and he obviously, a couple weeks ago, won by 8 in Dallas as well as Scottie Scheffler. And Scottie is somebody who probably doesn't go to a lot of cocktail parties. I know he has a lot of very close friends. He would look very good in that jacket, but consider one thing statistically. He's number 1 in strokes gained total, which he customarily is. Here's the very frightening thing for all of his competitors. 2 years ago, he was 162nd in strokes gained putting. Last year, he was 77th. This year, he's 15th. Oh, my. All of a sudden, that club is a weapon? He is lethal. That is Club 5. And yes, now you know why you want to be in the club, because that jacket is going to be worn by one of them, and it can be worn by you, available in August for the fall line at Peter Millar. We take a break. Will Lowery, a very stylish man, a guy very involved in junior golf, but he's got views on all things in golf. The Underrated Golf Tour, he's one of the driving forces. They begin their season next week in London. He will join me in studio next, right here on 5 Clubs. Welcome back into Five Clubs here on this Wednesday morning. Great to have you with us. This segment is brought to you by Pinehurst, the cradle of American golf. The cottages at number 8, the new clubhouse and restaurant that is going to be open soon at number 10. There's always a great reason to be booking a trip to the cradle of American golf. He's been there a lot. He's a rolling stone. He gathers no moss. He's rarely at home. The fact that he is here is miraculous, because I know where he's headed next. I'm speaking of Will Lowery. He is somebody who is everywhere in the industry of golf, but one of the most important things that he does is sit there at the grassroots level and try to lift people up in this game in so many different ways. He has his own AJGA event. He's also one of the cornerstones of Steph Curry's underrated tour. Here he sits. Good morning, my friend.
Man, I like you got a nice little scratch and sniff here, man. This is aesthetically pleasing to my eyes for sure.
Well, you'll be around more than just this morning, but like I said, it's hard to get you here because you got a lot going on in your life. Yes. Because you're passionate about a lot of stuff. First of all, your podcast with Doug Smith, Beyond the Fairway, is an example of that. You guys talk about everything. You'll dig deep on things, whether it's subjects or individuals or challenges or opportunities. Junior golf, though, is a driving force of what you do right now in your life. How much has changed in junior golf in the last 5 years, in your estimation?
It's a positive disruption. When I say that is because when you look at the overall golf ecosystem, for some reason, junior golf world is getting along, you know? And maybe the big guys need to take notice. But when you think of AJGA, you think of Peggy Kirk Bell Tour. All these tours are coming together to figure out how can we put these kids on a platform to showcase their skill set. Whether there's AJGA giving out Ace Grant Foundation scholarships to underrated, taking them all across the country just to make sure that these kids have a platform they can showcase their skill set.
You mentioned the AJGA. I mentioned that you've got your own event. I was talking before about the USGA, their development program. You're in constant communication with them because, like you said, if you allow all these boats to get in the same current, it's amazing how much more velocity you can create collectively. Underrated golf. The new season, for people who are unfamiliar with it, this is junior golf for boys and girls. Equal numbers of boys and girls, and one of the most important caveats is that these boys and girls and a guardian or a parent, they travel the country and now the world at no cost. None. The burden of expense in golf, of which you know can be a huge barrier. And the new season starts, you leave Sunday, I'll be there as well, in London, because this thing is going global. Explain to people where Underrated started and how it's become what it's become. You know,
Gary, I was always a part of how can we increase those participation numbers? You know, when you think about, 2020, post-George Floyd, the participation numbers in golf were terrible when it comes to black and brown in the game. At the introductory level, 17% of black and brown kids were participating in the game, but when we get to the AAU portion of golf for the basketball connoisseurs out there, but the junior level of golf, the junior portion of golf was terrible. It was less than 2% on the AJGA level, less than 1% when it comes to the collegiate level. So surely all those kids that play on the introductory level, they don't want to stop. But it's because there's barriers, there's hurdles. So literally went to Steph in his kitchen. I was like, hey, bro, you can do more things in this golf game than PGA Tour players can. And before you know it, provide the idea of, let's come over to tour. Let's do something different, especially for kids that come from a different clubhouse. And let's provide an experience that is like no other.
Your relationship with Steph is longstanding, it's deep. And it's interesting because he's a golfer, not because he loves golf and can play golf. Him thinking to himself and sharing it with you, what do I give to golf? That's what golfers do. Like, it gives me a lot. Now, okay, where's the reciprocity? It started on a napkin.
Yeah.
You start to sketch out ideas, and all of a sudden it starts to come together. And explain to people what it is now.
Yeah, it is a foundation. We like to say we're the cornerstone of, especially when it comes to golf for kids who come from a different clubhouse, underserving communities.
Yep.
We feel that we're providing not only access but equity. you know, and obviously we know that comes with opportunity, but we make sure that everybody doesn't have identical, we know that everybody doesn't have identical needs and solutions. And Underrated Tour want to be the bridge to help you get there.
What you do, you play golf at a high level, and you're unorthodox in the sense that you're, you know, people who know you, whether it's from the big break, you know, you played professionally, cross-handed, but you also have an eye. You have an eye not only to give instruction, you have an eye to identify talent, and you are the primary curator of most of these kids who play on the Underrated Tour. And for a moment, it's not about them. I want to ask you about you. What does it do to you to identify a kid and then watch that kid over the course of several years keep coming back to these events, participate in all these other events, and grow, not just as a golfer, but as a person?
Yeah, you know, seeing these kids come from, you know, it's almost, it gets a little emotional too.
Sure.
Seeing these kids come from the clubhouse where not everybody understands what's going on in the hearts and minds of these guys. And seeing them that, you know, knowing that they don't have the opportunity to play golf on a competitive level. And seeing them bring them on the Underrated Golf Tour and watch them mature to nice, you know, fine young men and women, and see them in college. For example, Selma Ibrahim, who plays at Southern now, seeing her last week at the PWCC, the PGA World Collegiate Championship,
yes,
winning a tournament. Knowing that she came from us, Gary.
Yes.
I mean, knowing that she started from us, that's something that it's addictive. You want to keep doing it.
Some of that footage there was from the Curry Cup, which last year was contested at Ridgewood Country Club, which has played host to multiple FedEx Cup playoff events, a Ryder Cup, U.S. Senior Opens, a couple of U.S. Amateurs. The platform is not just about giving them this access and opportunity at golf courses. It is at special places. So let's talk about 2025.
Yeah.
I said London. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go, my friend. You and me together.
Yes.
All summer long. To explain to people now and share with people where we're going and where it's all headed to and where the end of the line is.
Yeah, we're starting off at Fox Hill. You know, we think about the UK series. You know, when we talk about wanting to provide opportunity, it's not just in the U.S. You know, we want to make sure we travel across the pond because there are disparities over there in the UK as well.
Yep.
But when you think about taking these kids all across the country, you know, whether it's the Eisenhower course, French Lick, whether PGA West, and Palm Springs, but most of what's even crazier, we're going to Liberty National for the Curry Cup. I mean, think about that. And one thing I love about Underrated, we're very particular who we partner with, right? And, you know, Liberty National, what the Fireman family are doing and seeing how they maneuver in golf from a philanthropy standpoint, it's an ultimate partnership.
I mean, to think about these kids in early September having that stage and to be at a place where the LPGA just conducted an annual event that I know that Michelle Wee is heavily invested in. And, you know how I am. I nerd out on the history of it. And even though Liberty National is young, you know, when you have a stage like that, you attract all of these big events. So FedEx Cup playoff events, a President's Cup has been contested there in 2017.
BMW.
The LPGA.
BMW 28.
BMW, exactly. 28 back to the New York area. But before 28, Curry Cup 2025.
Absolutely.
And Will, it's beyond the golf. The idea of this is not, look, golf is competitive, it's intense. There's a lot of college golf coaches who come to these events for evaluation. One of the most important things about Underrated Golf is about developing these kids beyond just competitive golf. So the panel series and the importance of seeing the world where golf can be a vehicle for as far as it can take you. But wherever the end of the line is, are you prepared? How does that panel series and all the other exposure these kids get advance them in life?
Well, let's be clear. The panel series that the people that we get on these panels are all from Steph's Rolodex.
Yes.
So that tells you the involvement in Steph, not just from a standpoint of calling somebody for a golf course, but making sure that these kids have access to the same Rolodex, same business opportunities as he does. And so when you think about the education component, where these kids have the opportunity to meet Gil Hands, have the opportunity to meet Butch Harmon,
Seth Waugh.
I mean, the list goes forever. But to see these kids after the panel discussion crowd around those players, those
crowd around men, and I don't want to give their ages, but they're not 35.
They're not 35, but when I see Seth Waugh hand out his phone and take a kid's number, exchange email addresses, that right there, that's what does it for me. What that means is equity. That's access right there.
The last thing with respect to Steph, athletes have to make choices about what's next because athletic mortality in different sports, my gosh, in the NFL, it's like, I'm 28.
Yeah.
What the heck am I going to do now? He's had one of the most glorious, illustrious, remarkable careers in the history of basketball. What's next for him, Will, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, he talks about all the time, who's out there, what young man or woman is about to, take over the Underrated Golf Tour. He's very in depth in the game. I remember one time we were at his house and he knew a player on the PGA Tour.
He's a nerd.
Their hometown, where they're from, and what their stats were last year. And I'm like, how do you know this? Are you playing basketball? So his love for the game of golf is incredible.
The most amusing thing is when he comes around, which he does, he always wants to insist that he's better than you.
Larry, I'm not gonna come on live television and lie. He is not better than me. There's nothing about the golf game where he can beat me. There's nothing.
That's the beauty of it. Thank you for coming in here. You and me and a lot of kids in the game of golf in London next week.
It's gonna be a good summer.
Thank you for all you do.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, that is Will Lowery. When we continue, speaking of prodigy, she's already in a Hall of Fame. Lydia Ko on 5 Clubs next. Welcome back into 5 Clubs. Great to have you with us. This segment is brought to you by Golf Pride. When it comes to grips, all players at every level trust Golf Pride more than any other grip company in the world. It's not even close, right? I'm really thrilled to be joined now by a member of the LPGA Hall of Fame. 23 times she has been a winner, 3-time major champion. She has been a total delight since she burst onto the scene. It's hard to believe it's been more than a decade. I'm speaking, of course, of Lydia Ko. Lydia, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Gary.
Well, thank you for doing this. I think about how long you've been around, and yet you're still so very young. And I wonder, because everyone's wondered, I wonder how long she's going to play. When the year starts, do you kind of help gauge your commitment level based on your enthusiasm level? Like when the beginning of 2025 started, did you go, yeah, I'm very enthused. That means I'm still totally committed. Do you use that as a barometer of where you are in terms of how much longer?
I just try and take it year by year. Obviously, 2024 was a very special one for me. So it's, in ways, it's hard to beat. But I think, when I won the gold at the Olympics and then winning at St. Andrews, it gave me hope that there's maybe more that I could do with my career. And, I'm honestly having the most fun on tour since the start. So it's just a great place to be at. And don't really know when the exact ending is, but it's for now, I'm just trying to play the best golf I can. And I still feel like there's parts of my game that needs improvement. So yeah, I'm just really excited for it.
The Olympic thing, you have been committed to it from the beginning, and somebody now, as you mentioned, winning the gold, you'd won the bronze and the silver previously. Do you get the sense, and a very strong one, that in 10 years, maybe even sooner than that the gravity and the weightiness of that accomplishment is going to rival almost any other accomplishment in the game of golf? Do you feel like that's the direction it's going?
I think so. I mean, when the Olympics came back in over 100 years in Rio, I think a lot of people were still skeptical how golf would be played out at the games. Obviously, growing up, it was something that I saw other athletes compete in, and I would have never imagined that I'd be an Olympian and now a medalist as well. So yeah, obviously very unique, having won, the bronze, silver, and gold at each of the Olympics. And, I think that somebody is probably going to win more gold medals than me, but I'm unsure if somebody's going to do kind of the way that I did. But I think just especially in Paris, I could see how much golf has grown, over the 3 games, and with the announcement of the mixed, format for
Yes.
LA. I think it's going to be another exciting factor, and it's just great to see my sport be at the biggest sporting event, and it's going to, I think, be a very substantial part of the game going forward.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. With that being said, I was going to ask you about the mixed team competition. Would you like to participate in that?
It's pretty cool, that Ryan Fox actually just
Yes.
won the PGA Tour. So, and we both were talking in Paris, and we're like, oh, probably this is both our last games. So it'd be pretty fun, because he's somebody that I've known for a really long time to do it. But I did say my last games was in Paris, and the Olympics have been such a special part of my career, not only just winning the gold, but just representing your country. And the silver and bronze that I'd won were probably the best second and third place finishes I've ever had in my life. So it's hard to maybe say no to the opportunity if it came, but I think at the same time I feel like I guess winning the gold in Paris was a good way to cap off my Olympic career.
The win at the Old Course, everybody who watches this program knows my affection for the game of golf. When my wife asked me for my 50th birthday what I wanted, I first said nothing, which was not the truth. She said, no, what do you want? And I said, I want to walk over that bridge again, which I did. So, Lydia, that was my choice on my 50th birthday to go to St. Andrews. So to win there, of all places, did it get to you in a way that you were not prepared for? Because you can't simulate what it's going to feel like to win a competition at the home of golf. Did it get to you in a way that nothing ever had?
Yeah, I think first off, my husband and you are going to get along very well. He's definitely going to be like, yeah, I want to go back to St. Andrews for like a 30, 40, or 50th birthday. But yeah, honestly, the way I took that week was just enjoying being at St. Andrews. I played there when I was the year before I turned pro. So I think I was so young at the time. I didn't really appreciate the history, and everything about the town and the golf course and the championship itself. But now that I'm a little bit older, I think I just understood the gravity of how special St. Andrews is, being the home of golf. But coming off from the Olympics, which was probably, maybe the biggest week of my golfing career, I don't think I could have ever imagined that I was going to win my third major in over 8 years there at St. Andrews. It was just like too good to be true. And I think because of that, even coming down that 72nd hole, going over the bridge, I just wanted to make a birdie on the last and kind of see what happens. But, even if it didn't go my way, I wouldn't have been surprised. And even my husband and my sister were talking about going back to the Thai restaurant we had for dinner early in the week. So I don't think any of us were prepared for it. And that's why it was pretty emotional for me when I did, realize that I had won. But it's weird because it was just a crazy couple of weeks, and it's just hard to put into words, what it all was. But I did feel like a walking Cinderella,
Absolutely. You have seen in the last decade this influx of money, particularly with the major championships. And I've said this before, that money can create opportunity. It can solve some problems, but it doesn't solve every problem. Do you feel like with all the commitment from these corporations when it comes to title sponsorship and presenting sponsors of major championships, that everything's going in the right direction? Do you feel very encouraged by that?
Yeah, obviously we're very grateful as a tour and as a player to have such immense support from, Chevron, AIG, Evian, CME, all of these, and even a lot of our domestic tournament partners as well
Yes.
for all of the support and their belief in women's golf. And I feel like we are moving in the right direction, not only in the prize money, but the caliber of golf courses we're playing. KPMG has been a clear example of taking us to these golf courses where it's traditionally known for it to be a men's major championship golf course. So for us to go to these places, I think, and to be part of that kind of history is obviously a great growth for our tour. But in general, I think women's sports is on a high, and it's trending, especially this past year or so. So to kind of be part of that momentum is great. But I do believe that we've still got a long ways to go, and it's the 75th year of the LPGA, and somebody was asking me, what would you like to see in another 25 years? And I would like to see a world where there is no comparison between the men and the women, because that is still a big thing. And even though we're very grateful for the partners and everybody that's believing in us, I think with all our powers together and what we can do as players, I think there's still a ways to go. But I'm really excited to see where the LPGA is at, and we've really got the best female golfers. Just like how Gino played at the Mizuho last week. So yeah, I think it's an exciting time, and it's really cool to be part of this generation to see all this kind of happen in front of me.
All right, let me get you out. Lydia Ko, 5 to go. It's perfect branding. If you had gone to college, and I know you love the Bay Area, but had you gone to college, where do you think you would have gone if you were going to go in the United States? Where would you have played college golf?
100% Stanford.
I knew it.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate enough to be able to actually practice out at Siebel a little bit, and to kind of interact with the players, both men and the women, and the coaches. It's really awesome, and I kind of feel left out because that's part of my career that I wasn't able to experience. But I'm the most cardinal, non-cardinal out there.
That's well said. All right, the interstate or highway in America that makes you the most nervous to drive on?
I-4. I mean,
Lydia, I lived there for 10 years. It was horrifying. I did it every day for 10 years. It was horrifying.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
mean, my home in Orlando, I've been in multiple areas of Orlando, but, when I used to live more out west by the Champions Gate reunion area, and then, going to Lake Nona and then coming back down, I-4 gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think that would be the best way to put it. Yeah.
Totally. All right, the Bay Area sports team that you are the most passionate about?
Basketball, Warriors, the Golden State Warriors, because obviously, having watched a couple of the games and having met a few of the players, but actually basketball is my number one sport to watch over golf. I love how fast it is, and it's just really different to what I do, and I've always been a big basketball fan, so the Golden State Warriors is probably one of my favorite teams.
Well, you were also very kind to come out and speak to some of the underrated kids. Steph Curry's underrated tour out of Lake Merced a couple of summers ago. All right, is there a TV show that you're currently binging? And if so, which one is it?
I watched 4 seasons on Netflix, and I think, I'm married, and I think a lot of married people, or even the couples that aren't necessarily married, I think there were bits that were quite relatable. So I remember telling my husband, I was like, I think I'm Claude. He was like, "No, you're not as dramatic," and I was trying to copy him. But yeah, it's that's been like that's something that I watched last week, and I actually really enjoyed it because it was very relatable outside of just like the actual concept of everything. Yeah,
Oh,
it
of
felt very
course.
yeah.
All right, last thing. What is the most convenient food to eat while driving?
Oh, I might be one of those I-4 crazy drivers. So I should definitely have both hands on the steering wheel, but I tend to eat burgers a lot in the car.
Not
And
easy.
no, but have the wrapper the right way around. Have that or have a few chips. But like having a burger and fries are probably like the number one kind of staple food that I've had like on a Sunday after the tournament. It's
Yes.
not like I'm treating myself, but it's just really quick and easy to get. And I feel like it's really hard to mess up a burger. So yeah, it's that's what I tend to get, and that's what I eat a lot in the car. So that's probably how I would say.
Yeah,
My car's never clean anyways, so it's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
on the dirty.
The French fry might be the answer. The burger, not as easy, but if you have the wrapper perfectly positioned, then you can do it bite for bite. Normally, you feel like you need two hands, but if you're doing it the way you're doing it, then maybe you're onto something. Listen, it's good to see your face. I really appreciate you taking the time. You got a lot of golf ahead of you here in 25. Have a great rest of the season. Stay healthy, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care, Gary.
All right, there is Lydia Ko, already a member of the LPGA Hall of Fame. She will be a member of the World Golf Hall of Fame as well. 23 times a winner, 3-time major champion. We continue with you right here on 5 Clubs right after this. Favorite segment of the week? It's really not close. Send in your dog. Dogs at 5clubsgolf.com. Any dog that you know of that has a relationship with the game of golf, and there are many. We want to celebrate all of them. So let's get to our featured dogs of the week. The first one, that's Mills, 7-year-old black lab, the championship officer, morale booster. Yes, at this year's PGA Championship, that is Eric Nuxall's dog. Thank you for sending that in. How about Jazz, owner Gled Mahler? This is a 4-year-old out of Goat Hill Park, 4-year-old border collie trained to lay and sit by his bag while he hits golf shots. Glorious. How about Rocky up in Greenland, New Hampshire? Owner is Mark Berube. The dog's name is Rocky, a Springer Spaniel Poodle mix. Might need a tubby. Who cares? That's glorious. And then finally, Rika, Mike Brabham, that's a 13-year-old rescue dog that's become a super golf dog at Wiltwick Golf Club in Kingston, New York. Those are your dogs of the week. I saw a little snippet last night. I don't know how it got in. I know how it got in. I look at old clips of The Tonight Show. And it was actually Jimmy Stewart reading a letter to his dog who had died, Bo, to Johnny Carson. And they were both crying when it was over. You think they don't matter to all of us? They do. All right, folks, this week in golf, there's a lot going on, including the Senior PGA Championship at Congressional. Here's a great story. How about Gary Woodland, who's going to caddy for his caddy? And how about the Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth? Great Colonial Country Club. And in addition to whatever you win points and money-wise, the winner also gets a restored automobile, and this one is this great vintage truck that the winner is going to get. Well, last week, our picks in the PGA Championship produced 3 winners. So the standings, in terms of the season-long standings, Johnson Wagner is having a great year, and he's got 3 wins. Emma Carpenter had Scotty Scheffler. Taylor Zarzer had Scotty Scheffler. Gil Hanse picks Scotty Scheffler every week. And guess what? He can't pick him anymore. But guess what? Gil tried to pick him again this week. And we said, Gil, 5's the max. And he acted like he didn't know the rules. Come on, man. You're not that busy digging in the dirt. And there sits Brendan DeYoung. I have twice as much money, and I stink as Brendan. Snap out of it, man. All right, so with that, let's get to our picks for the Charles Schwab Challenge. And I have Harris English, not just off his second at the PGA Championship. He always has been loyal to Colonial. He's played there a lot. He also is in good form. 4 of his last 5 starts, he's been in the top 20. Maverick McNeely is having a wonderful year. Denny McCarthy for Emma Carpenter. Mav for Taylor Zarzer. Johnson picks Daniel Berger, and you know what that means? That means that Brendan picks Daniel Berger. Whatever Johnson does, Brendan does with respect to picks. And Jay Billis goes, Siwoo Kim. So there's the picks for the Charles Schwab Challenge. And it'll be interesting to see with respect to Scottie Scheffler in terms of, the reset. But I think what's different between him and Rory McIlroy, look, what Rory did at Augusta National and how long it had been since he had won any major and the consequences and the gravity of him winning the Masters, which completed the career Grand Slam, was going to be very, very hard wherever next was going to be. For Scottie Scheffler sounded like Bill Belichick on Sunday night when he said, on to Fort Worth. Might as well have been Cincinnati. Why wouldn't he contend? When he won the Masters last year, you know what he did the next week? He won the Heritage. Looking forward to next week. We will be at the Memorial live for 2 days on Tuesday and Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. For all of us here on 5 Clubs, enjoy all the golf, including your own. We'll see you Monday.